Welcome to the Flourish.Academy podcast. My name is Heather Lahtinen, and I'm joined by my good friend Mara Chick. We both enjoy reading books, and our mission is to help others grow professionally and personally. But we noticed when we recommend our favorite books to our friends and our colleagues, they really did not have the time to read them.
Well, I'm not sure why, because they should. If we tell them to do something, they should do it. So on this podcast, we do the reading so that you can focus on your business. We will give you a breakdown on the books that we explore, offer differing viewpoints and tips on how to take action.
We are continuing our discussion on The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, and we are entering into chapter 4.
This is a big chapter.
This is a good chapter.
This is a good chapter.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get started. Chapter 4 is all about momentum. Okay, from the book. Big Mo, that's what Darren likes to call momentum. Big Mo is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful and I have trouble with this word.
Oh, okay. What do we have?
Enigmatic.
Okay.
I can't speak it. Why can't I speak? Enigmatic.
Yeah. Forms of success.
Okay. Maybe you should read that over again. You can't see or feel Mo, but you know when you've got it. You can't count on Mo showing up to every occasion, but when it does, wow. Big Mo can catapult you into the stratosphere of success, and once you've got Mo on your side, there's almost no way anyone can catch you.
I love momentum. In fact, one of the things I talk about in many of my sessions is I have figured out a way how to manufacture motivation, because what he says is true. You cannot count on it to just show up. But when it does, you're really excited. You get a lot done. Yeah. So how do you manufacture? Well, it's what we talked about in a previous episode, which is getting connected with your why and your core values and what you're doing, why you're doing it. That helps. Momentum is everything. I think he even talks about this. I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself, but like a steam train. It takes a lot of energy to get that train moving, but once it does, it will just continue on forever. But if it stops, it takes way more energy to get it started than it does if it just continues to move.
I think that's a hard part as a business owner, because when you get the momentum, you're then always worried that it's going to stop, and like you work and work and work. And that's sometimes we get into this trap of overworking because we don't want to lose that momentum.
That's a good point.
And I know, when I took 6 weeks off for my back surgery, I was so worried, like I'm going to lose all, I have all this great momentum in my business. I'm going to lose it all. Then I had to change my mindset because I was not thinking
It was not
properly.
helpful. That's not helpful.
It wasn't helping my situation at all. And hey, I didn't really lose much momentum at all in my business. Came back and it was like I picked up right where I left off. So, but we do worry. I worry all the time about losing momentum. And we have it right now because we've been working on a lot of great stuff for the Flourish Academy. But yeah, it's
a concern.
It's a concern.
If it's elusive and you don't know how to manufacture it, then of course you're worried about it. But as soon as you really understand where it comes from and how to get it, then you think, okay, I can make it happen again if I have to. But you're right. I would rather not let it wane and keep up with it so that it continues to move forward.
And there's different levels of momentum, I feel. Like there's like big pushes, like you're coming down a hill and the train's moving super fast.
Yes.
But you can still have momentum and it be, a little slower on like, a flat plane surface. Right. But yeah, I really...
Do you remember when we first talked about this, about momentum and losing it? Do you remember this? We were talking about, this is a few years ago, it was November, and we were saying...
Oh, you even remember the month.
I do, because we were heading into the end of the year, and we both said, I'm worried about January and February, because we had so much momentum that we were worried that the holidays would...
Because I always like to take time off around my favorite time of year.
Yeah. So we were thinking, okay, but because we knew it was coming, because it had happened in the past... We planned. So that November into early December, we sat down and we made plans. Okay, here's what I'm going to do when I get back into my office on January 3rd or 4th. Kids are back in school. Here is the first thing I'm going to work on to kick off that momentum. Planning for that made a huge difference in our businesses.
Oh, I remember that. Mm-hmm. I remember that crystal clear now. Like I said, this is what I'm going to do the first 2 weeks. I'm doing a live photo shoot in my group. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Like you have to plan. That's a good point. We plan for it. You're so smart.
No, thank you. We did that together.
We did do that together.
Because but okay, if you go back in time, the reason we learned it is because we fell on our faces.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, we lost the momentum. January came around and we're staring at each other. What do you want to do?
What do you wanna do this
Yeah,
winter?
and it
Yeah.
just did not feel good, especially when you had it going into the end of the year. So at least we were smart enough to say, hey, let's not let that happen this year. And we prepared for it. That is exactly why I think when you entered that season of your back surgery, you were mentally prepared and knew what you needed to do in order to maintain that momentum and then even kick it off as soon as you were allowed to work again.
Ooh, yes.
is
I
good.
completely agree with that.
Okay, we're going to move on to routine power. Back to the book. Some of the best intentions fail because we don't have a system of execution. When it comes down to it, your new attitudes and behaviors must be incorporated into your monthly, weekly, and daily routines to affect any real positive change. A routine is something you do every day without fail, so that eventually, like brushing your teeth or putting on your seatbelt, you do it without conscious thought. Similar to our discussion in the habits section, if you look at anything you do that's successful, you'll see that you've probably developed a routine for it. These routines ease life's stresses by making our actions automatic and effective. To reach new goals and develop new habits, it's necessary to create new routines to support your objectives. I know I'm reading a lot, but there's one
okay.
more that
Yep,
I want to get to. The greater the challenge, the more rigorous our routines need to be. Ever wonder why military boot camp is so hard, where relatively minor tasks like making the bed, shining your shoes, or standing at attention become over the top important? Building routines to prep soldiers for combat is the most effective way to elicit efficient, productive, and reliable performances under intense pressure. So the key there is productive and reliable performance by implementing these routines. One of the things I work with my clients, it's so funny. It seems so simple. I say to them, when you wake up, are you making your bed every day? That's a pretty important routine.
You're a big stickler on making the bed every day.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for it. There's proof for it. There's a great video on this by a Navy SEAL admiral talking about the importance of starting your day right by making a good decision and feeling good about it. But it's the power of routine, taking small, good habits and routinizing them. Is that a word? I don't know. It didn't sound like a word.
Need to call Webster's dictionary on that one.
Routinizing.
I'm going to say no on that one. If we were playing Scrabble, it would have been rejected.
Okay. Do you have some routines that you know have?
I think some of my routines are more around like managing my schedule, right? Making sure that the way I photograph is like super routine. It also helped, we talked a lot about this, like making sure during my photo shoots that like there's a routine that I have as far as like setting up shots and getting the images that I want to make sure that I'm not like overextending myself and able to get like everything I want. I came up with this, like, here's what I'm going to do, this routine. And then I have like that extra 5 minutes where I can get like super creative on something.
Smart.
So I get like my guaranteed shots and then I can be creative. I also am, routines. I struggle sometimes because I feel like they change quite a bit.
Well, routines can evolve.
They can. But I do try to, and then I keep my like shooting schedule very routine. Like I'm photographing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I try to keep the weekends for me as much as possible. And then I get to do things like this on other days,
right.
So
okay. Key here, routines, what you're talking about gave you freedom of flexibility and options.
Yeah.
Routine, because some people will think, oh, I don't like the structure of routines. It's too limiting. But actually, it gives you more freedom because you know what you need to do.
I'm doing and what's coming up. Yeah.
Also, regarding your shots, and as a wedding photographer, I have a list kind of that I follow in my mind. It's so that you don't miss anything.
Yeah.
So you can feel confident because you're competent. I know I have this. And then you allow yourself to be creative or artsy or evolve with your art because you know you've captured it.
I think we get so caught up, especially as artists, like in what we're doing. And we want to be creative because it feeds our soul, right? But it's not necessarily what a client wants from us.
Right.
So it's important for us to like get what we need. And then, I mean, it's really helped me also like shorten the length of like how much time I'm spending in like certain outfits for my clients. Otherwise it was like 45 minutes in one outfit. And then I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. Okay, well, we still have 3 outfits to go. And then I'm shooting like 3 or 4 hours.
And don't you feel, since you've done this, at least from an outsider's perspective, I've seen you really dial in the laser focus on this.
Yes.
And it's made you so much more efficient.
When you have a goal, right? We talk about goals a lot, but when you have a goal and you say like, okay, I'm going to make sure I spend like 25 minutes in this outfit. I got to watch. I made sure I was looking at it and then tracking, right?
Yes.
Tracking how long I was spending doing this and doing that. And then looking at my data, like what photos do my clients like the most? Which ones do I want to make sure that I get, so that I could have all of that information, so that when I came up with my routine for shooting, it's pretty
tight. Yeah, it looks good. You know, the most important part about routines, I think, are bookending your days.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
Okay, if we read just straight from the book, so bookending your days, the key to becoming world-class in your endeavors is to build your performance around world-class routines. It can be difficult to predict or control what will show up in the middle of your work day, but you can almost always control how your day starts and ends. I have routines for both. That's him. I do have routines for both, but I'll let you talk about morning routines.
Okay, morning routine is critical because it's how you start your day and it sets the tone. It is so important. So I wake up pretty early, earlier than I would have to, but I get up with my husband. We do shower together in order to conserve water.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Conserve water.
Right.
That's what we'll call
All
it.
right.
From now
I'm
on.
being funny, but the truth is, part of our marriage routine is to spend time. We talk. That's when we have uninterrupted time. I mean, and we have been doing that for 19 years. So we're pretty connected, and it's just part of the routine. It matters. It adds up over time. I exercise every single morning. I have started trying to write 3 things that I'm grateful for. I'm not always great about sticking to that, but I have gratitude journal. And a lot of high performers say to meditate. Well, I struggle a little bit with meditation because I have a hard time clearing my mind. Who doesn't? But I have found that if I pick one thing that I can focus on and not be distracted, that's a form of meditation. So all of those things happen prior to about 7:30 or 8 a.m. And at that point, the kids are off to school and I can sit down at my desk and begin my workday. And I love it. It sets the tone for oh, by the way, that exercise that I do, one of my routines is that while I am on the treadmill, I am listening to podcasts, or it could be an audiobook or it could be YouTube, but it's always edifying material. So I'm listening to something because I'm thinking to myself, okay, I am exercising my body and feeding my brain. I mean, I feel like a winner.
You are a winner.
But
it's funny. No, even when I do my makeup, I'm always listening to a podcast or something that's like...
It's how you start your day.
And then my husband will come into the bathroom. He's like, what are you listening to? And I'm like, this is why I'm smarter than you.
I say, I'm edifying my brain. That's
okay,
what
maybe
I'm
I'll
doing.
start saying that.
Yeah, because
but you're very good at your morning routine.
Thank
I'm
you.
more like evening routine. But I think the one routine that I love the most is like when I have a photo shoot, I always make sure that before the session, I take time, I pray, and I meditate, and I just, I just want to be used as like a vessel to reach my clients and speak the words that they need me to hear. I want to be what they need, not what I need them to be. And so I make sure I do that, take some time to do that. Then I'll do the photo shoot. Afterwards, when they leave, I actually sit down and I meditate. Just focus on my breathing for a little bit because I expend so much energy. And you probably know this too. When you're shooting, you're just engaged all the time. You're running around doing this. I'm rolling on the ground, getting the shots and the angles that I need. I expend so much energy and I give so much to my clients that I've got to like bring it back in. So I'll just do some meditating and calming and just like filling my energy back up. And then I'll do some stretching because, my back issues, I'm pretty rough on my body during my shoots. So that really helps me just kind of like center and ground. So that's my routine after every photo shoot. And I'm smart.
Yeah, it feels like it makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, especially the exercise part. I don't think people realize that you work really hard. It's hard on your body. Photographing is hard on your body.
It's hard. And I try to have a morning routine.
What do you mean you try? There's no try.
Oh, there's do or do not.
Do or do not.
I try. Some mornings I just feel like sleeping a little longer than others.
Oh, that's great. You know what? Go ahead and continue to rely on your feelings, and let's see how far that gets you.
Yeah,
nobody feels like getting up.
I know nobody wants to get up. I know, and
Just
I do
do it anyway.
the Mel Robbins 5 second 5 4 3
Absolutely.
2 1, and I'm up and
Just
out of
up.
bed. I try to walk 3 times a week, and I do photograph quite a bit, so I'm usually up and getting things ready, and I do try to be at my desk by like 8 a.m. so I can get a couple hours of work in before my session. So I'm very productive in the morning, as are you.
Yes, that's my morning.
The time in the morning when you're fresh and like you feel energized. Like the afternoon, I lag a little bit.
Me too.
But-
so you save tasks that don't require a lot of mental energy for the afternoon. What time did you get up this morning?
6:20.
It's awesome. I was up at 5 a.m.
Well, let me give you an award.
5 a.m. So I got a ton of work. I mean, we were preparing to record, obviously.
Yes.
But I got a ton of work done, and we'll be recording all day. I have teaching this evening, and I'm going to be tired.
Oh, you're teaching this evening?
Yeah, coming in.
I'm going to the movies this evening. Enjoy yourself tonight.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so even, we have morning routines. We also have to have an evening routine.
The key here was bookending your day. So a lot of people will say, and to some degree it's truth, although sometimes it's an excuse, that they can't control what happens in the middle of the day. And that can be true, especially if you have children or things that you have to, commitments. But you can control what happens in the morning and the evening. You are in charge of that. Make it a routine. Write it down. Figure out what's going to work best for you, and then make it happen.
And I know some people struggle with, I have kids, they need this and they need that. And then, you get them to bed and then someone wakes up and I don't have children, so I can't empathize with that completely. But I understand that I have distractions too. My husband is a child.
Well, there are distractions everywhere. It doesn't even have to be a person.
It's my kitty cat.
Yeah, it could be anything.
It's anything. The TV,
anything.
The phone. Oh, that phone.
But when you routinize your morning and your evening, you bookend your days, you start to feel really good about it. And what happens is that gap starts to close, and you start to feel more in control of the middle of your day. Again, small habits that just lead to huge success.
Okay, back into the book, we're going to talk about sweet dreams.
Okay.
Ooh, nighty-night. Okay, so Darren says, it's important to cash out on your day's performance. Compared to your plan for the day, how did it go? What do you need to carry over to tomorrow's plan? What else needs to be added based on what showed up throughout the day? What's no longer important and needs to be scratched out? So I do take some time. I will say then after I'm done working, I do clean up my desk because I want my desk to be clean,
too.
much
Yes.
like, bed making every day.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about this, physical clutter leads to mental clutter. But in the evening, I'm very big on my nighttime routine. Like I will admit, I do have a hard time turning off the phone. And I think that's part of people feeling like they're business owners. They have to always be connected. I'm working more on shutting it off, not sleeping with my phone next to me. Like, really, am I going to answer an email at 2 a.m.?
Negative.
No, I'm not. I'm going to read it and then get in my mind, and then I can't go back to sleep. So what I do is I go to bed around like 9:30, 10 o'clock every night. I will try to read for about 45 minutes before I go to bed. I do meditate after I'm done reading. I try to write down like 3 great things that happened that day. I keep my journal next to my bed, so it's always there. And then before I sleep, I think about like, what are my biggest goals? What am I trying to achieve this year? Where do I want to go? So that my brain goes to work for me while I'm sleeping.
Yep. I love it. That's
Because
brilliant.
a lot happens. Like your subconscious will go,
It'll go to work for you
works
while you
for
rest.
No
It's
one thinks
brilliant.
that, yeah.
I mean, they've proven it in studies. I love it. I think the reading at night is the key. And even in the book, Darren says, finally, I like to read at least 10 pages of an inspirational book before going to sleep. I know the mind continues to process the last information consumed before bedtime, so I want to focus my attention on something constructive and helpful in making progress with my goals and ambitions. That's it. All heck can break loose throughout the day. But because I control the bookends, I know I'm always going to start and finish strong.
Do you feel like you start and finish strong every
Without
day?
question. It's very rare that I don't. It would be an unusual day. I typically go to bed. Are you ready for this?
Like 8:30?
8:30.
Oh, my.
And I get into bed, but I read.
Yeah.
I read. And so, but I'm probably falling asleep between 9 and 9:30 because I highly, highly value my sleep. I think it's actually a critical part of brain functionality and health. So I get a lot of sleep and I get up and I'm ready to go. And I keep it very routine, very routine.
Okay, so Darren also talks about shaking it up a little bit. Do you
Ooh.
ever shake it up? Because
Change
I know it
routines?
can get a little mundane when you're doing the same thing every day. I know sometimes in the evening when I journal about like 3 great things that happened that day, sometimes I'll be like the 3 challenges I face tomorrow, or like mix up my mind a little bit. But do you ever mix up your routines?
Probably not as often as I should. It's a little bit rare because I even continue these routines on the weekends.
You never fails.
It never fails. But yeah, sure, Peter, I have children. So by the nature of having a family, your routines are going to change.
Yes.
But I think it is important to shake it up. And I know you're going to share a little bit from this in the book, but I read a book called Wake Up by Chris Perez Brown. And he suggests doing things to kind of snap your brain out. And this is one of them, which is change things up a little
Yes.
bit, interrupt your routines.
Yeah, I know. Wow, I interrupt my shower routine with a cold jolt of water.
I do
Which you
too.
do that too. We do a lot of the same things. Don't
We read a lot of the same
We
books.
do.
Well, because then we've seen results.
Yeah.
So we
when
know
you
that it
start to
works.
see results.
Right.
It's like some people think it's hokey, like my husband, but what does he know?
Right.
He
Right.
doesn't read, he watches the news
Yeah.
instead. Don't worry, he won't listen to this podcast. Anyway, he
won't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know how
Okay.
to listen to podcasts unless I download it for him. Okay, so I think we still have a lot to talk about in this chapter, which we'll do in the next episode. But just to end this podcast, I want to talk about one strategy.
Okay, great.
Which is mostly what we've talked about, is I want everyone to develop a morning and evening routine. And I want you to be super consistent with that routine. And even if you feel like you don't feel like doing it, like, oh God, I have to do that routine, Heather and Mars.
Yeah.
You have to do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Your feelings have to be taken out of it. You can't let the feelings dictate what you do.
Successful people do what they don't feel like doing.
Yes, and you do it because you know the routine is going to help you grow personally and professionally.
It's going to pay off.
Yeah, it will pay off.
That's a good strategy.
So, yeah, I know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so thanks everybody for listening. Heather, can you tell everybody how they can support our podcast?
Absolutely. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Please like, share, leave a review. If you prefer video, you can also watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. Just go to Flourish.Academy.tv. And if you like the content, please share with your friends by posting on social media so that we can reach and help more people. And if you'd like to purchase this book or any purchasing that you do on, say, the Amazon,
Amazon?
please use the link provided below. It's our affiliate link, and it just helps to support the podcast. Helps offset some of the costs associated with the podcast.
It's not the Amazon jungle. It's the Amazon online.
.com.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening.